The best way to practice judging is to get used to the chronological style of delivering an oral adjudication. Instead of justifying who won the debate from first to fourth, you would justify the decision starting from OG to CO. It's a very straightforward template, but it can get very challenging for all the right reasons, which I will discuss in this video. Let's say the final call of the debate that you agreed on as a panel was closing government, opening opposition, opening government, and then closing opposition as the rankings for the round. To give a chronological OA, then you would follow these steps. First, compare OG to OO. What did opening government establish in this debate? And why did OO, given their contributions, beat out opening government? What responses were launched? How did OG attempt to preempt OO? And how did they fail at doing so? What is still left unresponded to from OO? And why is this important to make them win the opening exchange? Second, introduce closing government and then compare them to the opening teams. What I would do is to begin by comparing closing government to opening government and explain what their unique and relevant extension was. What is specifically different, and why are their responses relatively more persuasive than the responses that were given from opening government? After this, explain why their specific extensions beat out opening op. Why are opening op's POIs and preemptive contributions not enough to weigh against closing government? And third and lastly, introduce closing opposition and then compare them to every other team in the debate. Why does closing opposition first lose to their opening team? Why was their specific extension less relevant to the debate? What parts of their analysis and responses would you still credit uniquely to closing opposition? Now, given this specific extension, how does this weigh up against opening government's contributions and their preemptions? How does this weigh up against closing government's specific extensions? And how do the responses of closing opposition fail to respond to each and every one of these teams specifically? Notice that this structure is difficult because it gets more complicated as the OA progresses, and you have to be very precise with your pairwise justifications. You have to be disciplined, and you have to weigh up the most relevant pieces of content. You need to be comprehensive while also being concise and straight to the point, which is why it helps to be very specific with what you are pertaining to. At the same time, this format is very instructive, as it actually arguably gets a lot easier as you go through the rest of the OA. Because so long as you have justified the first few comparisons very well in a very detailed manner, and that you have summarized the contributions of teams appropriately, then you should be able to refer to these at the end of the OA or towards the end of the OA without having to repeat everything all over again. And that's why I think it is a great use of practice for judging. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching.